The Cincinnati Reds showed what not to do once you get a little momentum going, and they did it in more ways than one on Tuesday.
You are Locked On Reds, your daily Cincinnati Reds podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Reds. My name is Jeff Carr, and I am glad you are alongside me today. Listen, I've loved this Reds team through thick and thin. I've seen plenty of worse years, but my oh my, Tuesday was a no good, very bad day here in Reds country. But hey, I've been hosting this podcast on a daily basis. This is now my 6th season doing so. And I want to make Locked On Reds for everybody. I want to make it accessible to you as we talk about this Reds baseball team. We're going to talk about the big things. We're going to talk about some geeky numbers. We're going to overreact to the MLB season, the marathon that it is. And quite frankly, sometimes have to be realistic. As much as I had just got done being happy and optimistic and oh my goodness, Monday was awesome. And then Tuesday wasn't for many, many reasons, not just the game on the field. Look, I'm glad you're with me today because the Reds got blown out, and that was like the third worst thing that happened on Tuesday. Later on, I want to ask a question about one of my favorite players, and it's one that I've been dreading to ask. We've got a few things about Elly De La Cruz, Jonathan India, and Jeimer Candelario that we can be excited about. That's coming up in a few minutes. We're going to try to throw some fun in here, throw some optimism in here. But we got to begin with some serious questions that I have about how this team is being run. That's on today's episode of Locked On Reds that is brought to you by Tax Network USA. Did you know it's never too late to resolve your tax issues with the IRS? Don't wait. Reduce your tax debt and get help from a team of licensed professionals. Call 1-800-549-1000 or visit tnusa.com/lockedon. So I'm starting today, we're starting today looking at a couple of different things. When it comes to the leadership of this team. The word ship is hidden inside the word leadership as its derivation. I'm just kidding. That was Michael Scott. Yeah. Had to lighten this up first before we got into this because my oh my, the Cincinnati Reds on Tuesday, it was a masterclass in, are we sure that we got this? Because there's so much talent. The Reds have so much talent, so much promise for the future, but it's got to be employed correctly. It's got to be put in the best position to succeed. And quite frankly, Hunter Greene throwing up on a mound doesn't necessarily scream, hey, we're in the right position here. Now, I know that in Pittsburgh, he had this issue where he was throwing up because he overhydrated. He was asked after Tuesday's start whether that was the case. And he said no, because I actually did the opposite of what I did in Pittsburgh so that I could avoid what ultimately happened. If you didn't see the video, there's a video on Twitter going around, video online going around. I mean, he literally throws a pitch, and before it's even thrown back to him, he turns around and throws up. Looked like straight water, nothing crazy. But you got to wonder a little bit because I don't really see other pitchers doing that. Don't really see guys just hurling. I mean, you see hurlers, but they're hurling the baseball. That's a little bit concerning to me. And he said the words. He's like, I tried to do something else. I tried to do the opposite of the thing that I did the last time that this happened to me. Isn't there like a nutritionist or something? Some sort of trainer that can be like, Okay, maybe this is your hydration regimen for today. It's a hot day. Let's do this. Huh? Anybody? Anybody on the team want to help this guy out? We're just leaving him up to his own devices to make sure that he's hydrated. I mean, he is an adult, so there's that. But, like, they got coaches for everything. They got doctors and nutritionists and trainers and all this other stuff that they can't help their guy, the first guy, to get the long-term contract of this young core. We got him just thrown up out on the mound. And look, he had a rough day on the mound when it came to pitching. Did not pitch well. That was his first start since his first start of the season that he didn't go 5 innings. He's gone 5 innings in every other start, at least 5 innings in every other start this season, except for his first start of the year. That's just the second time he's gone less than 5 innings. So, yeah, I mean, he had an off day. That's one of those things. You chalk it up. Sometimes it happens when you're a pitcher. That's, whatever. Didn't love that he didn't, what's the cutoff thing? Like, why was he even there? I don't know. That one was weird. But he had an off day. But the whole, hurling on the mound thing, not hurling off the mound, hurling on the mound, that really kind of bothered me. And I feel as though that's something Reds coaching and Reds leadership should be addressing. But here's the other thing. This one, and look, the Reds lost in a game that just stunk. They stunk. They tried to come back in it. In a quick analysis of what they did, they lost the game after the 3rd inning because the Pirates got their leadoff man on in the 1st inning. He comes around to score. They end up scoring 3 runs. The Reds got their leadoff man on in the 1st inning. Nothing happened. Then in the 3rd inning, the Pirates load the bases. They score 3 runs in that inning. And in the 3rd inning, the Reds load the bases, and they get nothing. And that was it, really. I mean, quite frankly, at that point, the Reds couldn't do anything else. They tried their darndest to score some runs, and things happened later on in the game, but they were never really close to even make it a game. I mean, the Pirates just beat the snot out of them. But what happened before the game was probably the biggest, what moment of the season so far. And that's saying something because there's been a lot of what moments for this team so far. And that is that Christian Encarnacion-Strand is going to have season-ending surgery on his ligament in his wrist, his injured ligament in his wrist. This was something that was said as a possibility, even though a couple of weeks ago, Reds team doctors cleared him to begin a rehab process. And now maybe they said something to the effect of, yeah, you could start to work your way back, and then if we determine that you need to have surgery at that point, then you could go have surgery. But he felt strongly enough that he needed to get a second opinion from someone outside the organization that he went and he did that. And that second opinion said, no, don't start a rehab assignment, continue to rest for another week and see how you feel after that. So that rest period came, went, he's going to have surgery. And oh, by the way, he's not going to have surgery tomorrow. He's going to have surgery on July 11th. So if you follow me here, he was hit on the wrist on April 27th. He is having season-ending surgery July 11th. And make no mistake about it, the quote, and we talked about this whenever he made this quote, but the quote from David Bell was, we knew all along he had this ligament thing. And you let him play with a 37 OPS plus, which, for those that don't know, OPS plus, 100 is league average. 37 means you're 63% below league average. You were jeopardizing Christian Encarnacion-Strand's future for a couple of hits a week? That's what this seems like. And look, there's information I'm not privy to. I fully understand that. But that information, I find it hard to believe the information I'm not privy to makes the Reds team doctors look good in this whole thing. And look, Nick Lodolo load management has begun. If you listened to me yesterday, you would have known that this was coming. I didn't think it'd be coming like right now, but he goes on the injured list for a blister. David Bell says they firmly expect him to make a start on July the 9th, which would be the day that he is eligible to return from the IL. So essentially he's going to miss 2 starts. Graham Ashcraft is going to take his place. Graham Ashcraft has actually been called up today to pitch today. He's back. So he worked on stuff and things are worked out. So hopefully that's the case. But yeah, man, the leadership of this team seems a little wonky right now. And as much as I was super bullish about it when the season began, some things have happened here recently. Like, what are we doing? We've got to figure this out. But there's good news. And it surrounds the top of the lineup. Elly De La Cruz, Jonathan India, Jeimer Candelario. We'll get into that coming up next. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, you're going to be burning rubber, not cash. eBay Guaranteed Fit makes sure that your fit is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. And are you struggling to close deals? Business-to-business selling is tougher than ever. And that's why I want to tell you about LinkedIn Sales Navigator. LinkedIn Sales Navigator is a sales intelligence platform that helps professionals effectively prospect and engage high-value customers, drive higher revenue, and increase sales performance. Sales Navigator helps you target the right buyers, surface key signals such as job changes or which accounts you should prioritize, and shows you hidden allies so you can find those buyers that are most likely to convert. Fueled by LinkedIn's 1 billion member platform, Sales Navigator gives you the most up-to-date, first-party data, enabling you to unlock conversations with the people that matter. Right now, you can try LinkedIn Sales Navigator and get a 60-day free trial at linkedin.com/lockedon. Again, that's linkedin.com/LOCKEDON for a 60-day free trial. Let LinkedIn Sales Navigator help you sell like a superstar today. Just go to linkedin.com/lockedon to get started. You've got to check out Locked On Sports today. It's a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every single day to bring you the biggest stories. Locked On Sports Today 24/7 brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. And speaking of everyday, shout out to our everydayers out there. Appreciate you all being a part of the show. For our everydayers, coming up on the next Locked On Reds podcast, Graham Ashcraft is back. And so is Steve. Steve will be back on tomorrow's show. If you noticed, I've been solo the last couple of days. Steve has been out, different scheduling issues and trips and things like that, but he will return for tomorrow's show. Also, coming up later this week, Friday afternoon, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, we've got a live show coming for you, a Q&A, where you get to drive the ship as we look ahead to what's ahead. If we can figure that out with this team. But hey, amid all of the negativity, amid all of the questions, amid all of the uncertainty surrounding this team, the top third of the lineup has risen to the top. The cream has risen to the top, and it's the top three. Jonathan India, Elly De La Cruz, and Jeimer Candelario are absolutely carrying this lineup right now. And I include Jonathan India in this. In fact, if you remember, about a month ago, did an episode where I talked about Jonathan India and how he is just missing the opportunity to be the guy, to help lead this team through the struggles that it has been going through this season. He has answered that call. In fact, on May 23rd, Jonathan India was hitting 208. Since then, in 28 games, he is slashing 344. That's batting average. 435 for his on-base percentage, and 522 for his slugging percentage. That is something that I really wanted to see from him, because the hits that he had gotten really to that point, which were few and far between anyway, were mostly singles. And they weren't necessarily, the extra base hit variety. But what's amazing is in 28 games, he's gotten on base 47 times. He's just all over the base paths, absolutely lighting it up. And he got on base, and this was even before last night's game. This was getting off Baseball Reference, so this was not necessarily updated as I recorded this late night, Tuesday night into Wednesday. So he got on base another 4 times, so 51 times in 29 games. That's absolutely phenomenal. And I love to see this turnaround. Now, there's a separate discussion to have about his glove at second base. But I feel as though the Reds entered this season with an idea to keep his bat in the lineup while moving him around and trying to find a spot where he's okay at, or his glove doesn't necessarily hurt you that much at. And I would love to see that happen. I'd love to see the Reds make some moves so that could be a thing again. Maybe he moves to left field. Maybe he moves to DH, whatever the move is. But clearly his bat is valuable. And we're starting to see him turn things around to the point that he's looking back up at his Rookie of the Year season. His Rookie of the Year season, he had a 116 OPS plus. Mentioned that a few minutes ago. Right now, his OPS plus is 107. So he's kind of looking at that same level. He's not that far off. He keeps hitting like this, he's going to surpass that. Now, I'm not saying that for the rest of the year we're going to see him hit 344, although that would be amazing. And he's not going to slug over 500 for the rest of the year, although that would be amazing. But I got to give him props, because I said it a month ago. I was just like, dude, missing the mark. But he's found the mark, and he's hitting it well. Another guy that's hitting it well, Elly De La Cruz. Listen, if you ever catch Elly De La Cruz on a bit of a downswing, and he's early on in his career, so he's going to have those. But if you ever catch him on a bit of a slump, where maybe he's only had a couple of hits in like 5, 6, 7 games, something like that, and you start to think that you figured him out, stop it. Seriously, stop it. Because Elly is amazing, and he's been showing it this month. I mean, in the month of June, he's got a 262 average, which is okay, 340 on base, which is great, and a 536 slugging. He has 22 hits in the month of June. 12 of them have gone for extra bases. He is murdering the baseball. And of course, steamboat home runs notwithstanding, he's just getting back to being a threat in the lineup. Because there was a moment where some were starting to wonder. His OPS had dipped below 800. His OPS plus had dipped as well. But now he's back on top. Now he is the top OPS plus hitter on this team. And he is absolutely electric in so many different ways. And he only has 5 steals this month. That's kind of a funny thing to me, because you think of Elly and you think of steals, but in his 37 steals on the season, only 5 of them have come here in the month of June. Is he slowing down? Probably not. I think it's more so that teams are keying in on that. And they're really doing everything they can to prevent stolen bases from Elly. But I think he'll pick that back up here soon. But the bat has absolutely lit up. And of course, the guy who really leads these guys, the Jeimer Candelario. You talk about a dude, we've mentioned this before, about how everybody was so worried about him in the month of April. The month of June has been his month. In fact, when you look at the month of June, he's hitting .318 with a .322 on base, which those are fine numbers. The .318 batting average a lot better than the .322 on base. But he's slugging .647. There are hitters on this team, like a guy we'll talking about in a few minutes, whose OPS isn't as high as .647. That's Jeimer Candelario's slugging percentage for the month of June. And oh, by the way, he's hit 8 home runs this month. There's only one player in the National League that has hit more in the month of June. And his name's Shohei Ohtani. You might have heard of him. He makes a few more dollars than Jeimer Candelario makes. But it's just funny because you see a lot of stuff on Twitter of like people like, oh, Kyle Schwarber, it's his month. This is Jeimer Candelario's month, man. He's kicking butt here in the month of June. And the top 3 hitters in this lineup are what is carrying this lineup right now. In fact, the month of June team-wide has been the best month of hitting for the Reds. Way better than May and even way better than April. They're heating up as the weather's heating up, and it's the top 3 in the lineup that we've been seeing here recently of India, Elly, and Candelario that are leading them. But one of my favorite players on this team is dragging the lineup down. And I think it's time we ask the Louisville question. Here at Locked On Reds, we pride ourselves on getting you the latest news about the Reds. Whether it's the offseason, the draft, spring training, or the playoffs, it's year-round. You know what else is year-round? Collection season. Just because tax season is over doesn't mean the IRS will stop coming after you for unfiled taxes. The IRS can garnish your wages, levy your bank accounts, and even seize your property. Don't let the IRS target you. Let the licensed professionals and tax experts at Tax Network USA go to bat for you. I know I've filed my taxes multiple different ways. I have many jobs, and they all have different forms and things like that. It's very complicated, not something I know very much about. Tax Network USA makes it all easy because they know all about it. And with over 14 years of experience and an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, Tax Network USA has saved their clients over $1 billion in tax debt. Whether you owe taxes, have complicated matters that require tax planning, or you finally hit that parlay this season and need help correctly filing your taxes, call 1-800-549-1000 or visit tnusa.com/lockedon. For more information, see the link in this episode description below. And as we're moving through baseball season, the best way to take advantage of every day's games is with Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. And they've got all the best stuff, including every statistic you can think of that Elly De La Cruz is about to just absolutely go off in. I mean, Elly has had quite the last, let's say like 20 days. It's been a little over 3 weeks now where it's just been hit after hit after hit, lots of hits, lots of extra base hits, lots of RBIs, lots of runs scored, and you can take more on all of those over at Prize Picks. Plus, you've got Graham Ashcraft coming up on the mound today. Looking for some more on the strikeouts? Prize Picks is going to have you covered with that. All you have to do is you find your favorite statistics, find 2 or more entries, and even as little as 4 entries can earn you up to 100 times your money over at Prize Picks. I love using Prize Picks right before the game starts. It takes like 60 seconds to put my picks together and just watch the cash roll in with all the performances. Check out Prize Picks today. Download the app and use the code, all lowercase, LOCKEDONMLB, for a first deposit match of up to $100. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match of up to $100 over at Prize Picks. Pick more. Pick less. It's that easy. You can catch every pitch of the Reds' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Reds to get the Reds' hometown broadcast from literally anywhere. Also, bookmark CincinnatiRedsTalk.com today. Got a lot of great stuff over there, including why I'm not panicking about the whole Nick Lodolo going on the IL thing. It's load management. I'm going to keep telling that till I'm blue in the face. Easy for me to say. And some other stuff. I got some trade articles that are coming up here over the next few days as well. But it's time to ask the question. And look, if you're watching here on YouTube, you see that I'm wearing my Will Benson is a Problem t-shirt. And normally, whenever people ask me about this t-shirt, they're just like, Will Benson is a problem. Who's he a problem for? And I say, other teams. Here recently, he's been a problem for the Reds. He's in a big time slump. He's hitting 1 for his last 31. He's got 17 Ks during that stretch. He's 0 for his last 25. And what's interesting is before this bad stretch of games, he actually had a hitting streak of 4 games. So it's kind of funny how that works out. But seriously, the whole entire month of June, he has 2 extra base hits. A double and a triple. Hasn't hit a homer since the month of May. And in fact, if you want to really break it down, you got to go back to April 16th. It was the last time that his batting average was over 220. This has been a rough season for him. And it's not been the kind of thing where, last year he had the whole slump and they go down to AAA. He comes back and he rakes and he rakes and he rakes. There hasn't been that moment that everything has sort of clicked for him. And if you watched him last night against the Pirates, he looked lost. There was specifically one at bat against Mitch Keller where Mitch Keller throws him a slider that starts off on the inside of the plate. Starts off inside to Will. He's a lefty. So it's not even on the plate. And then it breaks closer to him. So further away from the strike zone. And Will tries to stop his swing. He first offers at it, tries to stop, doesn't stop, gets run, they say that he swings on it. And that was strike 2. So then the very next pitch, what does Mitch Keller do? He lays. And I almost wonder how much that really even broke, but lays a slider over the middle of the plate. And Will Benson just looks at it. And I get it. I'm not a hitter. Will Benson is a professional ball player, a professional hitter. I am not. So I do not know what that looks like coming at me like he would understand it. But it sure looks like that was a much better pitch to swing at than the one that he actually swung at. And then in ensuing at bats, he's striking out with a fastball down the middle that he just doesn't catch up to. Those are the pitches that he can't miss. If it's a fastball, he better hit it because he's got all the power in the world and he could send that thing into the river. But he's in such a bad way right now that I don't think he sees the pitches that come plateward. I think he steps into the box and it's almost as if he's like Daredevil or something. He's not even, hearing the baseball come at him. He's just like, all right, I'm going to swing on this pitch. Or on this one, I'm not going to swing at this pitch. And it doesn't matter. It's the same result. He gets out. Period. He did have a long fly ball. It didn't amount, some runners advanced and stuff like that, but it didn't amount to any runs or anything like that. But he had a long fly ball that was caught in dead center field. But it didn't even make the warning track. It's Great American Ballpark. It's not like we're talking about San Francisco or something here. So I wonder, man. And the question, though, is, do you send him down? Do you send him to Louisville to work on some stuff? Because the easy answer is yes. But then the question is, who do you replace him with? So let's break this down. The first thing, and everybody's been saying this, well, you bring back up Jacob Hurtubise and you replace him with Jacob Hurtubise for a little bit while Will Benson works on some stuff. Maybe, but Hurtubise has productively been worse than Will Benson. He has no power. He had just a few extra base hits in the few hits that he had while he's been up in the major leagues so far this season. And he also looks just as lost at the plate as Will Benson does. So, sure, maybe you send him down for Will Benson's sake, but you're not going to help the team. Would it be better if he just works through it up here? Because Blake Dunn, he's on the IL in Louisville. He got hit in the head by a pitch, and instead of the one where he got hit in the head against the Cubs and he pops right up, goes to first, he had like a laceration. They put him on the injured list to heal for that. Connor Capel was up here, but he was designated for assignment a couple of weeks ago. He's not even on the 40-man roster. So if you replace Will Benson with Connor Capel, you have to make another 40-man roster move. And Levi Jordan is up here, and he played right field. But again, he was a middle infielder in the minors, and he played a little bit of third base. He didn't play the outfield. So asking him to play the outfield on a semi-regular basis doesn't seem like such a good idea. I don't know. That's just me. So maybe you take the hit as a team and you call up Hurtubise and you give Will Benson a break. Because I will admit, at this point, we may be doing this move. The Reds may be having to make this decision based on Will Benson and not on the team. Because his development, his career, where he's at, may necessitate this move. Because I don't think you're doing him any favors by just rolling him out there. Because I don't think there's not like a, boy, he's almost there. It just seems like every time he steps into the plate, he does not know what's coming. And he's trying to figure it out, and he's in his head. And because he's doing that, he misses a fastball that goes right down the middle. So maybe you just do this move and you suck it up. Or Nick Krall could prove something here. Because we're worried about the leadership. I talked about it a lot early on in the show. We're worried about the leadership of this team. Do they have the right strategy? Do they have the right plan to lead this team to where we think it can go? You know how they prove that to us? Go out and get an outfielder right now. I don't think you'll be able to wait. If you go out, you get an outfielder, you open up the ability to send Will Benson to Louisville to work on some stuff. Plus, you bring in an improvement to the roster that, quite frankly, you need to bring in all along, all the way since the offseason. But I digress. That's something I desperately want the Reds to do this trade season, is go get an outfielder. Is he controllable? Is he a rental? Is he righty? Is he lefty? Make sure he's consistent. That's what I'm looking for. And that may or may not be the Elly De La Cruz trade that I talked about with Peter Pratt in the last episode. If you didn't see Tuesday's episode, go check that out. Had a great conversation with Peter Pratt from Locked On Marlins, as if the Reds and the Marlins could get together for a trade. But the Reds need something here, because what's happening right now, what they continue to try to do with Will Benson, just makes me wonder if they're not hurting him at this point. Forget about hurting the team, which, I mean, clearly 1 for his last 31 is not helping the team. 17 strikeouts, not helping the team. But are they hindering his own personal development for his career? That's the question that I think you have to answer here, because I don't think that there is a viable replacement for him. You just literally have to bite the bullet with whatever move you make, unless you go trade for somebody. Which, if you do that, you're going to inject some goodwill into this fan base. And quite frankly, we need all the goodwill that we can get. And that's where I'm going to wrap up this edition of Locked On Reds. Thanks, as always, for joining me here on this episode. For our everydayers out there, if you're not an everydayer, I encourage you to become one by following the podcast on your favorite podcasting app, subscribing here on YouTube, click that bell to get notified whenever we've got some new content for you. Because, look, win, lose, good leadership decisions, bad leadership decisions, head scratchers, all that stuff, we're going to be here with you every single day talking about these Cincinnati Reds. And hey, Graham Ashcraft's back today. We'll be breaking down his return to the majors on the next podcast. Steve will be with me on the next podcast. And later on this week, Friday afternoon at 3 p.m., we've got a live show coming for you that I would love for you to be a part of here on our Locked On Reds YouTube page. But until all that happens, you know and you can trust that we will be Locked On Reds every single day.